It's Hussy, bitch. Oh, ah, I'm recording. My bad. Where am I? Oh, this is chapter 16. Sorry, I was taking a little break there. With my personal theme song. Brittany's my girl. I mean my bitch. All right, this is part 1B of chapter 16. We're on to body defenses. We're going to get a little bit more complicated with how these things work. We touched on the lymphatic system previously. So let's look at how you attack bacteria, fungi, and viruses. They're always attacking you. You got to defend yourself. So how do we do it? First off, we have a non-specific defense system. This is basically just attack anything and everything that comes into the body that you don't recognize. This is non-specific, of course, and it's very fast, very immediate in its effect. Then we have the specific defense system, which takes a few days to ramp up, and you program certain cells to attack only those certain antigens, that certain invader, and we call this mainly your immune system. Let me get more comfortable here. I was rocking out to Brittany. Let's see. Okay, so non-specific defenses include skin, of course. You got to get through my skin to be able to infect me. And the mucous membranes themselves, they're very mucousy. That's why they're called mucous membranes. So it's thick and viscous and gross and has a lower pH and some enzymes in it to break things down and so on. We also have some specialized cells and some chemicals that we'll go through. So today we're focusing on non-specific defense. Part 2 will be specific defense. Okay, so first line, skin is a physical barrier. pH of the skin is acidic, so it inhibits growth, even though you have tons and tons of healthy bacteria growing on your skin. Your skin also produces oil. As you know, that oil is called sebum, which we talked about before, which is toxic to bacteria. And then there's also vaginal secretions, which are very, very acidic, I suppose, if you have a vagina. The mucosa of the stomach secretes HCl, hydrochloric acid, and also has protein-digesting enzymes called pepsin, which help to take apart any kind of protein, including that of pathogens. Saliva from your mouth and also tears, that's your lacrimal fluid, have an enzyme called lysozyme. That's the enzyme that's found in the organelle lysosomes, and it helps to degrade enzymes and to take apart proteins. And then also the mucus is just thick and goopy and helps to trap things, which is how you make boogers in part in your nose. Now, non-specific defense cells include a group of phagocytes. The prefix PHAGO means to consume, so imagine or visualize Pac-Man eating something. Here we see Pac-Man's mouth consuming something. They are neutrophils or macrophages. Remember, macrophages are the active form of monocytes, and they engulf a foreign material and create a vacuole, this membrane bubble around it, and then that vacuole will merge with the lysosome, and the enzymes within the lysosome will then degrade this foreign invader, put it into pieces, and then spit it out. Okay? There's also natural killer cells, which work to target cancer cells and virus-infected cells. So natural killer cells serve a very important function whereby they kill your own cells, which were previously viewed as self, but now because of changes, your immune system has been informed that they are non-self. And these natural killer cells kill your natural cells, but in this case they've become cancerous or they've been infected with the virus and we need to get rid of them. Those are natural killer cells. Second line of defense, we then work with the inflammatory response to move a bunch of fluid over to the area of damage, to the area of infection. And this works through the chemical histamine. We saw that histamine comes from basophils. Basophil is a granulocyte. Histamine is released in the area of damage, and that histamine triggers vasodilation. Okay, the blood vessels expand, and they bring all kinds of fluid and white blood cells to the area. It also increases the leakiness of the capillary walls, and this makes the area very red because there's more blood flow. It makes it hotter because blood is slightly hotter than normal blood temperature. Also causes swelling, more fluid to the area, and pain. And this is important for protection and healing. So consider that when you sprain an ankle, for example, and you put ice on that ankle to return to play more quickly, the reason you're able to return to play more quickly is because you're reducing inflammation. Inflammation is going to prevent the mobility of the joint because there's all this extra fluid in that area. And by adding ice, you're reducing the inflammation and reducing your body's ability to fight this tissue damage and to repair it. In reality, you should be leaving it alone and not icing it. If your priority is going back to the field of play, then of course you would be icing it. But understanding how the body works and why ice, why not ice, is an interesting thing to consider. So why do we have the inflammatory response? We want to spread the damage of infectious agents. We want to get rid of pieces that have been damaged and begin with a repair process. So here you see this thing that I described earlier. We'll go through this again. This is important to know almost in full. We'll show you. Something causes damage to your cells, and they release chemicals. This includes histamine, as you see. This histamine causes blood vessels to dilate. It causes capillaries to become leaky, and this is important so that white blood cells can leave the blood vessels and go into the tissue area where the damage has occurred. And then it also brings more neutrophils and monocytes, macrophages, to the area to start killing things. Blood vessels dilate, increases blood flow, which makes it red and hot. Capillaries become leaky, which increases fluid. That's what edema means, increase of fluid in that space, which causes swelling and can also cause pain, and then potentially temporary joint immobility, or limited in that way, so that you can heal. Trying to minimize the additional damage you'll do by moving it around. That's the point. It also allows clotting proteins to enter to create the barrier that is fibrin, that's hemostasis, as you saw. And we talked about neutrophils and macrophages previously. So that's the inflammatory response and why. The last part to today is talking about antimicrobial chemicals. And this gets a little bit complicated. We'll only touch on these. There's a system of proteins called complement proteins. And these help to complement the immune system. There's about 20 of them. And they work to bring the immune system cells to the appropriate cells, to target them, and to also cause damage and so on. So they damage foreign cell surfaces. This is often your own cells that we now view as foreign, such as cancer cells. They can damage them by creating pores. This purple thing is an actual complement protein. And this pore causes the cell to lyse or pop. It can also cause vasodilation, bringing more cells to that area of damage. Chemotaxis is movement of chemicals, triggering one cell to release its chemicals onto another to attack. And then opsonization is the same idea. It's kind of like recruiting white blood cells to the area that it needs to go. It's almost like putting a flag into the cell and waving and saying, over here, the bad guy is over here, come and get him. That's what opsonization means, and that's what the complement proteins do. Now, one type of complement protein is called interferon. Interferon is just one of the 20 or more, and interferon helps to target and kill virus-infected cells, a very important chemical that we can actually now use in treatments. We can produce it manually, and it binds to healthy cell surfaces and prevents viruses from binding. It targets that cell that a virus has entered and prevents additional ones from entering if it's a healthy cell. And on that note, I'm out.